This podcast is part of the Game and Entertainment Network. Visit tgenetwork.net to find the latest episodes from all our shows.
It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Agronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the thing, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey, you folks, it's
Rasputin versus greatest love machine.
You guys are such griefers.
He carried on.
I'm totally leaving this, just so you know.
We're professionals.
Anyway. Hey, folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 131.
Sure. He can't even get through it.
I'm dead certain it's 131. Because last week was Rah Rah Rasputin, which was 130. This is a messed up intro. Tonight we have Ashkar.
I thought this was a sound check.
Nope. Grace.
I'm still laughing too hard.
Godra.
Hello.
Look at him being professional. And Tam.
Sup?
And Thalen.
Hey.
So yeah, we were originally going to record Cthulhu stuff, but we're still having significant technical difficulties there.
Also, we thought it would be more enjoyable for us to record it post the end of the world this Tuesday.
Yeah. It's going to be great to be wishing for Cthulhu. So, this week, a bunch of stuff happened. We have a significant list of items to talk about. Actually, it's a fairly short list of items, but it's going to balloon into a bunch of other topics.
They are large items.
They're big items. They take 8 inventory slots.
So we're talking about Diablo now?
Well, we're going to talk about Blizzcon. So yeah, that is actually literally happening right now. I got the live stream, but there's been enough information floating around the internet to pretty much fill in the gaps for anybody else. Up to BlizzCon, the big thing that was happening was... So first of all, we talked about the Diablo controversy thing a few weeks ago. So that was happening, but also an ARG leading to what everyone assumed was the announcement of Sombra, a new character for Overwatch. And during the speech, there was this period of time where the video feed starts glitching out, and I literally refreshed the stream thinking it was my internet shitting out. And at that point, Sombra hacked BlizzCon.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Or at least,
it was pretty neat.
Yeah. And then we got to see the intro video for Sombra, which is really freaking awesome. And it's even more awesome when you think that they've already said that Sombra isn't a reliable narrator. This introduces the first true stealth champion to Overwatch.
Wait, she's stealth?
Yes. Yep.
She's straight up invisibility, not just stealth.
Yeah, her kit is SMG, main gun, and then she's got a cloaking device. She can turn off people's specials. She's got a grenade that she can throw, and then wherever it lands or while it's in the air, she can teleport to it. And her ult is AoE, kill shields, kill barriers, turn off abilities.
That's a pretty extensive kit.
It's a great kit.
So
I'm really looking forward to trying her out.
One of the strategies that they were talking about, and I think it was in the actual Overwatch panel that happened later, is hilarious. Apparently, she can hack health packs.
Yes.
So, an enemy health pack, she can hack it so that your team can use it, and the other team can't.
And they'll get blown up if they try to use it.
Right. So the strategy is to hack the health pack and just sit back and wait. And then when an enemy team member comes over to use the health pack, because it still shows up on their map as a health pack, you just see this little Sombra icon hovering over it that you can totally finish them off while they've blown up.
Yeah. Overwatch's current metagame is very focused on chaining a bunch of ults together. People stacking a bunch of ults and all using them in a synchronized way.
And now we've got someone that shuts those off completely.
Yes. And I think I think she's a really, really interesting addition to the Overwatch metagame for that reason.
Well, she's basically a meta breaker. all these things that were working may or may not now. And I also fully expect that she is going to be heavy ban territory for, competitive play.
Does competitive play allow bans?
I don't know, but they're working on. Well, they're actually launching their version of the LCS. There's going to be an Overwatch competitive league, and they're looking to have regional teams and salaries and all that stuff. And I have a feeling they're going to have to implement some stuff for that may have bans. I don't know.
I suspect bans are not likely because the roster is not that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arguably, League of Legends doesn't have enough bans at this point, but Overwatch is still too new that bans would probably be overkill. There's not enough people. There's not enough champs there. Heroes. What are Overwatch generically called characters?
Heroes, I think.
Heroes, probably. I don't know. Things.
Anyway, all of this about Sombra is cool, but as a Latino guy, can I comment how awesome it is to see the first character that I can think of since Dora the Explorer who is Latina and not a femme fatale or a thug.
That is,
yes.
Yeah, I saw that pointed out. I think by you actually.
It's it's so cool and so nice. She's not a nice person. She's clever. She's not hypersexualized. She's got a cool haircut, and her operative thing is being smart and good at computers.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's absolutely rad. I'm super excited. I'm super excited by the diversity of the Overwatch cast of characters.
Yes.
Well, and what I really liked about it was that it's okay. So she's not sexualized, but she's also undetermined motives. She's not really a good guy. She's not really a bad guy. She's obviously got some goal that she's working towards, and we don't know what that is. She's kind of the first free radical that we have in the Overwatch cast.
Yeah, I mean, she works with Team Snidely Whiplash, but also screws them over.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, has no problem lying to them and then doing her own thing.
Yeah.
Overwatch has this cast of, there are people that are absolutely evil, without a doubt evil, and that's Talon.
That's why I say Team Snidely Whiplash.
But then you have people like Junkrat and Roadhog. They're just straight up mercenaries. They don't give a shit as long as they're getting paid. So I don't necessarily put them at the same level as Team Snidely Whiplash. But they just want money. You pay. If the good guys were to pay them, they'd probably completely switch allegiance.
Yeah, it's entirely reasonable.
And then you have all the former Overwatch agents the Overwatch agents that haven't turned, that are absolutely totally heroes. And Sombra is somewhere on her own playing field.
Yeah, she's got her own. She's sort of in the same mercenary Junkrat and Roadhog thing, except without their hyper anti-omnic bend. Because they do care about a thing, and it's blowing up robots. That's their modus operandi. But they'll take any job that lets them blow up robots.
I thought it was also blowing. I also thought they were super anarchist. We hate corporations.
No, that's Lucio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lucio has just seen what corporations do and how corporations have made his world turn to shit a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's totally rebelling against them.
So I actually am curious about this. Does that mean that Symmetra and Lucio are on the same side? Because I thought they hated each other.
They hate each other.
They hate each other. Symmetra is...
Neither of them are Overwatch, by the way.
Oh, they are?
Symmetra is basically a salaryman.
Yeah.
In Gibson terms.
Yeah. I mean, Symmetra is a high tier software engineer for this supercorp, and Lucio is a downtrodden DJ from a city screwed over by that supercorp.
So I mean, they're kind of free radicals too, right?
Yeah.
But in both cases,
everyone is really one team or the other.
Yeah. There's surprisingly few actual Overwatch agents.
So, but Lucio and Symmetra both have clear motivations.
Yeah.
And that's what I meant by free radical. It's like, we don't know what Sombra wants.
Yeah.
She is playing to her own goal, and we don't know what that goal is.
We know she wants something, but it's not clear what.
I mean, Lucio wants to liberate folks from the tyranny of the corporation. Symmetra, I guess, wants to build bigger and better things for the corporation.
I don't know, maybe it's okay to just want to boot people on the nose.
Boop! That's the best part. I mean...
It's absolutely amazing.
Did you guys see the stuff going around on Twitter about the significance of the boop?
Well, like, Ruby is, like, I immediately had a callback to Ruby, because, God, I forget the name of the character, but there's a character that boops people on the nose in there.
So, in the documents that they're going through, there's a picture of the, like, Russian president, prime minister, gently booping her daughter on the nose.
Ah.
There's also in the ARG building up to this whole thing, one of the last clues that was given was just the word boop and a winky face.
People, okay, so the ARG has been somewhat controversial.
It's a little bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that have loved it, like, been massive fans of it, want more of it, and then there are people like that just want information. They just wanted to find out when the hell, because like we had this big countdown that went to nothing. Like, I don't even know what the countdown was for, but everybody on Twitter was like, 30 minutes on the countdown, 5 minutes on the countdown, 12 seconds on the countdown. And as far as I know, nothing really happened when it counted down, so I don't know what that was for. But everybody assumed that they were going to get, 100% final confirmation of Sombra. And this has been, like, the worst kept secret ever.
Yeah, it's an ARG that was very difficult, didn't really seem to go anywhere, but everyone knew what it was about. Like,
right.
Everyone had already solved the meta achievement, essentially.
Well, so there was enough valid information for Sombra for people to have cosplay at BlizzCon this year before the announcement. So, like, that's a thing. Like, this is... There was a Sombra on the floor that was pretty damn close because it was based on leaked artwork.
Yeah, but was it leaked artwork that was leaked as part of the ARG or leaked artwork from non-Blizzard-controlled sources?
Leaked artwork from non-Blizzard-controlled sources.
Okay, so you're not...
But there were a couple of those... So, like, they kind of corroborated each other.
I guess you're not convincing me that this ARG was really successful at its job.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to sell that it was successful at its job.
I don't think a lot of people would say it was successful. I mean, so lots of people paid attention to it, and that's great. But then it went nowhere, and a lot of people were really unhappy. Like, if you're going to have a big, complicated ARG, then, like, it ought to have some sort of a payoff.
Yeah. There was some high sodium content in this ARG. But if nothing else, it hyped everybody up for this character.
Sure. But I feel like everyone was already hyped up for Sombra before the ARG.
This is also true. Look, I think the simple fact of saying new character was enough to hype people up. That's it. That's all you needed.
Yeah.
Well, and even people like me. So, I mean, we were kind of discussing a little bit before the show. Like, I don't care that it's a new playable thing for Overwatch. Like, I care that we got another awesome short out of it and learned more about this cool world and the people in it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I want so bad to have, like, an Overwatch animated show. Like, something along the lines of Rebels, but Overwatch. And I would love it. Like, that would be the best thing ever. They already have comic books, and they've got more on the way that fill in additional details.
Yeah. I should have logged in and played while there was a PvE thing going on.
It was super fun.
So, in that, they're introducing an arcade mode that's going to be weird game types. And it sounds as if maybe some of the PvE type stuff will show up there again.
I just want to have a PvE version of that game to play.
Well, so they're apparently they're investigating having like some kind of PvE tower defense type game. but it would be in the arcade. And they said that Junkenstein's Revenge would probably be an annual event, so just like a holiday. But, I mean, it is at least a positive that they're trying to shift the game around to allow weird game modes to function. So, another thing that was leaked ahead of BlizzCon that was another poorly kept secret was the introduction of the Diablo 3 Necromancer class.
Yay, Diablo news.
Exploding corpses. Exploding corpses.
This is the BlizzCon where they remembered that Diablo was in fact a game that was in their catalog.
They sort of remembered.
They kind of had to, considering that it's the 20th anniversary.
Because last year...
Look. Capcom exists, so don't tell me what they have to do.
I mean, like last year, I was so bummed that it wasn't even mentioned. Like
it was totally forgotten. It was really sad. And the panel that they had last year, like when they talked about their new stuff, they had good new stuff to talk about, and they just were totally left out of the opening ceremonies and all of the hype, and it was really sad. So I was just happy this year that like there was a whole section in the opening ceremonies about Diablo and all the cool new stuff, and that stuff made me pretty happy.
I mean, okay, I kind of feel bad anytime I listen to the Diablo 3 team talk, because it gives me the impression that these guys are kept locked in a closet and they're let out once a year to do a panel for BlizzCon, and then they're, shoved back in the closet and forced to work away on Diablo content.
But like, they're making good stuff, so let them keep working. But yeah, it'd be nice if they could let them out and have some fun and hype their game every once in a while, because holy cow, there's cool stuff coming. Like, weird stuff that I was not expecting. So my big fear going into BlizzCon was that the big announcement for Diablo was going to be a remastered Diablo 2, which is something that seemed fairly likely and, would be cool, but is not new content for Diablo 3. It's not an expansion. It's not a Diablo 4. It's, it's kind of looking backwards without anything new and exciting for the franchise. And so, luckily, we did not get that. We got something strange for the anniversary that I was totally not expecting, but I'm kind of really excited about, which is the original Diablo remade as a mini dungeon in Diablo 3.
Yeah.
The entire thing kind of fits, doesn't it?
in retrovision.
Fabulous retrovision, yes.
It's so they've done some crap to it, and they've basically turned off all of the animations other than a limited subset, and you can only move in one of 8 directions. So like when you go into this dungeon, you're basically back in Diablo 1.
I'm not convinced this is a good thing.
I don't know, but it's entertaining.
I don't know how I feel about that part, but I think it's weird and humorous. And the thought that they've rebuilt those levels in Diablo 3 is exciting. I was not expecting that. I'm really pleasantly surprised. And I hope... So I didn't get to see any of the actual Diablo panels, but I hope that it's something that's not just around for the anniversary, that it's something that will be left in the game, but...
Man, let me set you up for some disappointment. It is an anniversary thing, and they're planning on bringing it back every year for the anniversary of the launch of Diablo.
I mean, I guess that's okay. At least it will be back.
Yeah,
I was afraid it was going to be like a one-time thing for this anniversary, and that seems like a kind of a waste.
They're planning on bringing it back every year for, January or whatever, where, Diablo launched. Or whatever date Diablo launched. I don't remember when it launched, but I think it's in January. But yeah, so they're planning on doing that, and there's going to be various things you can get from there. There's 16 floors. I don't remember how many bosses, but basically every boss that was in the original game has a version in the new game. So they've reskinned Butcher to look like the Diablo 1 version of Butcher. They've had to create like a Father Lazarus from scratch. They've skinned Diablo to look like the number or the Diablo 1 version of Diablo. And the weird thing is like they've tweaked the lighting and created like a pixelation effect. And I watched some footage of Diablo 1 and Diablo 3 in retrovision mode, and it really does kind of work. Like it looks similar. Like, I mean, obviously not everything is exactly the same, but like it's not far off. And it's going to be better anyway because it's larger than 640 by 480.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, guys, that's the takeaway. It was 640 by 480.
I've actually, it's been a little while, but I've tried to play the original Diablo again on a modern computer, and
it's painful. It's straight up painful.
Right.
Wow. I never played the original Diablo, so...
Man, I played the hell out of it.
Yeah,
I even got the Hellfire expansion.
I played
which
the
apparently
original...
David Bravik hates.
It's like I played the original on the PlayStation port. It was one of my absolute favorite games from the PlayStation era, and was my very first Blizzard game. So it has a very special place in my heart. I love it. I love it to pieces, and I'm super excited to see this. Because the other thing is I've never actually played Diablo 2, and so while I was sort of like, oh, it'd be fun if they remaster it, I will play it, but yeah, this is actually much better for me for nostalgia purposes. So
this is going to sound like blasphemy to some people, but I don't want them to remaster Diablo 2.
I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, it's still okay. It doesn't need to be fixed.
It's playable. I mean, I would love to see it at a higher resolution, but yeah, I mean, it's playable. When I play Diablo 2, I play it in a postage stamp windowed mode, and I can handle the fact that it's 800 by 600. But the real meat of what is coming out, other than this weird retro mode, is they're opening the door to class packs.
More classes, yes.
And while some people are unhappy about this, I don't understand those people, because I want this game to keep being available. I want this game to succeed in the long run. I want them to have enough money to throw at it to keep making cool stuff for it, or an expansion, or justify that, or even Diablo 4. And so I am totally willing to give them money to get new stuff so that they can keep everything going. I think it makes me happy.
Yeah, that's definitely the camp I'm in. Like, I am okay if they open up this door to buying additional classes. Like, that's okay. I will buy additional classes. I will buy the Necromancer, because the Necromancer comes with 2 new zones, and all the gears and items for the Necromancer.
That there's 2 new zones that are coming that will be available for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that.
They said the only paid part is actually going to be the class.
Okay.
And whatever, some other extra goodies or something that come with that. But yeah, I think the zones are actually included in Reaper Souls. And so, I think that's great, because the last time that we got a new class in Diablo 3, you had to buy a whole expansion to get that. So I am totally fine with, spending a little bit of money for some DLC.
The stuff I'm really excited about is the quality of life stuff, like the armory system, and the ability to save 5 loadouts per character, where you can quickly swap between gear and talents and gems and all of that. And they've taken away unsocketing as a cost, and it's just something you can do to swap things out. So when you build your...
To be completely fair, gold costs in that game don't currently make any sense anyway.
So. Well,
yeah, a little silly. But...
Yes, when you have 32 million... gold, it doesn't matter. Nothing you can do really matters. Gold stopped being there would never be a reason why you would really have a gold farming set in the great, other than buying greater rift keys. Buying greater rift keys, the empowering greater rift keys, is the biggest gold sink I know.
Yeah.
But even then, I have a lot of gold.
And depending on how many sets or whatever you're trying to keep up, there's only so many times that you need to empower rifts for leveling gems.
Right.
I don't know, I'm sort of hoping at some point they either add to Kadala an option for gambling for items with gold, crap tons of gold, waste all your gold gambling for items. I think it would be a good way to have another gold sink.
or attach it to Kanai's cube where you throw gold in it.
Yeah,
Although you can use gold as an item, really.
True.
So
Gold is not an item.
it wouldn't be that hard for them to stick in some sort of recipe that cost a lot of gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I'm excited with the stuff that they have shown us. I'm super psyched that there was actually news about Diablo, and it was good news.
So, since this is vaguely connected, they're apparently also going to be celebrating the anniversary of Diablo in World of Warcraft.
Really?
And I am
didn't see
not
that part.
100% sure like what all is involved, but like they've started leaking some of the items.
They're going to give Death Knight's corpse explosion back?
I don't know, but we're apparently getting charms. Remember those things that you just kept in your inventory but buffed you?
Yeah.
Apparently you can get charms. They give you like 100 strength or 100 intellect or...
Is that a lot or is that a little?
At this point, it's not actually a lot.
It's not a lot.
That
Oh.
I mean, that sounds
So they're
like
probably
a lot.
going to 100 stats at this point is not a lot.
Yeah.
It's really not.
I would not
But
be surprised
also-
if this is like somehow limited time or something.
Probably going to be limited to the duration of the event,
Yeah.
like most event items in WoW.
Yeah, I bet it is.
But there is apparently a town portal scroll that's a toy.
Is
That
that
replaces
not a
you.
Hearthstone?
No, like it replaces like it's a they have various optional Hearthstones in the game that do slightly different graphics. So I'm imagining this one like literally throws up a town portal and you step through it.
Nobody ever told me that the teleport to a natural location toy for druids was, not a replacement for a Hearthstone.
Yeah. Well, like there's at least one you can get through archaeology, the innkeeper's daughter.
Yep, that one's on the same cooldown as your normal Hearthstone, though.
Right. Well, and I assume this one's going to be on the same cooldown as your normal Hearthstone as well. I don't know full details on this yet, but I mean, it looks like they're going to have interesting items from the event. There is a rumor of a cow level for WoW.
Oh my goodness. Of course.
Of course.
Isn't there already?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's called
Mulgore.
Yeah,
It's called
there's
Thunder-
two.
Thunder Bluff and Thunder Totem are the cow levels.
Yeah, they added another one.
Yeah.
Those are moose cows, though.
Yeah, they're moose cows.
But the real takeaway though from the content that they talked about is the fact that they have learned even more from Final Fantasy XIV than we initially realized.
Which is
Figured out that patches don't have to come once every 6 months and be huge.
Yes, they are going to start chopping things up into small patches, medium-sized patches, and large patches.
Yeah.
And 7.1 is apparently what they call a medium-sized patch. And they outlined like all this crap that's going to be in 7.1.5. So they're even taking the same numbering scheme. And
But I'm pretty excited about a lot of the things that I saw coming out about WoW. Again, I haven't seen the detailed panels, but I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and from what I can tell, everything that I've seen looks like a giant apology for Warlords of Draenor.
well, like my initial big takeaway is like they know how to throw content at me. Like this is all content I am interested in. Like they've revamped the Brawlers Guild completely and added like twice as many bosses with the ability to create like random raid bosses that can occur while you're down there that pulls everyone that's in the Brawlers Guild into it and gives you raid rewards. They're putting in like these micro holidays, one of which
So
will
that
cause...
actually bothers me.
Really?
Yes. The concept of like 1 day or 2 day holidays.
Yeah.
Oh, nope, you missed it. What?
Like,
Why would
There's
you-
already... Yeah.
No.
Like, I missed Pirate Day this year, and it kind of made me sad, because there was
Yeah.
some stuff from it, and now I have to
And-
wait another year to maybe see if I can get it.
And Day of the Dead is the same way. It's like, there's good stuff. There's a great pet out of that, and no, it's like, I think that one's 3 days.
Yeah. But yeah, I do feel like, I mean, a holiday should really last at least a week.
Yeah. You need to have some time plus a weekend to actually
Yeah.
get to do it, because then it feels unfair otherwise.
Day of the Dead obviously starts on November 1st, so this year it was entirely in the middle of the week.
Well, I think the other option is to either either have them be of a significant length or have them happen often enough to where it doesn't feel like it's a horrible thing. So like you're waiting.
They're kind of implying that there's going to be like once a year things.
Yeah, they're absolutely talking about once a year things. So
on Courage Memorial Day.
Yeah,
that I don't know why they think that's necessary.
That one just cracked me up. Like
people like me off.
One day every year, go farm Runecloth. Go go go.
No.
I did it the first time. No.
I didn't, and I'm not going to do it this time.
Although Volunteer Guard Day sounded kind of cute, where you roll up into Capital City and salute one of the guards, and it gives you the option to take their place for a while. And you go off, solving crimes for a period of time.
That sounds entertaining.
I mean, I think all of the days that they mention seem like they would be entertaining or fun. It's just a little frustrating to think about them being very prohibitively short.
Yeah, like that sounds like the kind of thing that would be super fun in the vein of like the post-Moogle quests.
Yeah,
I can do those whenever I want.
I guess they're pushing out a bunch of talent changes as well. Like Thalen, you're getting your traps back.
Hooray!
They've decided that maybe they went a little too far on class or spec identity versus class identity.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, they're giving rogues back AoE stealth.
What?
The AoE stealth ability that they could like shield or stealth people through content.
When did they have this?
Oh,
Pandaria?
Pandaria? Yeah. It's got a long cooldown, if I remember correctly. But like it allowed you to, for a limited period of time, move people across an obstacle. There were a lot of things. Like you, one, had to stay within the bubble of the rogue, and two, you also, like, if anybody got spotted, like, everyone got spotted. But I think, like, right now, Subtlety's the only ones that have it.
Does this allow for stuff like stealth runs?
Druids
sorta
exist, so stealth runs are still a thing.
Like, you could do...
There are mobs instances that strategically placed mobs that detect stealth in at most instances I've seen.
Right. Like, for the purpose of mythics, that could add additional reason to have a rogue, because there are certain things that you could probably stealth past.
We have already skipped too much without the benefit of a rogue. In some instances.
Yep.
Force you to kill a certain amount of trash, so you weren't skipping all of it.
Right. Well, and honestly, like, I ran Neltharian's Lair the other night with, like, random people, and everyone tries to skip that trash. Like, there's a lot of skippable trash in that dungeon.
I'm not surprised.
But, like, they talked about, the thing that I felt was kind of curiously absent from their discussion was they didn't talk about Nighthold. They talked,
it's a
like...
funny. There's, like, awesome new things that no one was quite expecting, like going to Argus. Oh my god, that's amazing.
But their 7.2 rate is not yet in the game, and Nighthold kind of sort of halfway is.
Well, like, I think it's in the patch, and they just haven't turned it on yet, but, like, they haven't even given us a timetable of when they're expecting to turn it on. So I'm guessing Nighthold will happen sometime during the 7.1.5 patch cycle before 7.2.
Because, I mean, presumably everything necessary for it is already in the game. Because, I mean, all the achievements are there. And
there's already quests that are sending you there and recipes that are sending you there, but you can't do them yet, which is incredibly frustrating. So hopefully there's not a big delay on getting that in.
I do like that the Suramar Nightfall whatever story continues to truck along. I like that each content patch is giving me a little bit more story to care about.
One of these days I'll get to Exalted with them.
Like, is there a point at which you can't continue in the story unless you're Exalted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple reputation gates on the storyline.
Well, I have been Exalted for a while, so I have hit another wall, which is the next batch of quests just isn't in yet.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm at the point where the gates are just, I think, sort of a weekly little dribble of content that will be sprinkled in just fine.
And maybe that is going to ultimately lead to the opening of Nighthold?
Well, that's what they said, right?
I assume so.
That was the point, is that this series of quests will eventually lead to that, but I just don't know when. And considering we still have the other little half raid that is going to be in the game shortly, but is still not even in yet. Like, there's a lot of stuff coming.
Well, yeah, especially considering that we have yet to set foot in Karazhan. Well, that's not true. We set foot in, but we haven't done anything with it.
Yeah, but I mean, we still have the Valor or whatever raid.
Trial of Valor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I'm excited about because hell yeah, hell yeah.
Also, can I say how excited I am for class mounts? Like class mounts across.
Not care a whole lot.
Well, yeah, because you're a druid. You shapeshift all the time. But like the sad thing is I'm not super happy with the warrior one. But like I'm really happy with
shaman.
The shaman one is amazing. You ride around on an air elemental. The warrior one is basically like Galacras, I think. It's something, a weird dragon that looks kind of like Galacras. I was hoping I would just ride around on a Valkyr. That would have been amazing and perfectly themed.
Seems like one of those things that they're, not quite going to let be okay.
Some sort of wolf bird?
And what's weird about it is, like, everything flies. So, like, I don't know how some of these fly. The priest is the clear winner, though.
If FF14 can make Fenrir fly, sure, well, I'll have no problems explaining how any of their choices fly.
The priest gets, like, this really amazing-looking owl.
Okay, that's a pretty awesome owl.
It kind of makes me want to finish leveling my poor neglected priest that used to be my main, because, yeah, it's pretty great. But the monks is pretty nice.
I'm a huge fan of the druid form. Like, who doesn't want to be Nebuchadnezzar from whatever that movie was, Secret of Nim? I mean, seriously, who doesn't want to be that? It's amazing.
I feel like the only person in the world who likes the current Worgen flight form, so...
Oh, I like it just fine, but you could be an owl. You could be like a really wise-looking owl.
I can already be an owl.
Yeah, but you can be a better owl.
It's
a
okay.
better owl?
I like the bat form an awful lot, so...
The degrees of owlness?
This owl has a mustache. Therefore, it is a better owl.
Look, I just linked it. You can't tell me.
I know. I've seen it, really.
No, this is for everyone that's not Ash. You can't tell me that's not an amazing owl.
It's an amazing owl. But, I mean, there's a reason why I race changed my original druid to a troll when that came out, because bats are pretty sweet. And they finally apparently fixed it so that the bat no longer makes owl noises, so that's good.
And some of the other stuff that they talked about were things that were like super non-surprisey, like all of those artifact appearances that have been, leaked for ages.
Ones that have been data mined? The ones
that
have mods in the game?
I think the only real surprise there was the Krynos bear form that Worgen or that druids get.
Because druids actually they don't have a data mined bear form at the moment. It didn't go in.
Yes. So you can be a true werebear. The wariest bear ever.
A werewolf who turns into a werebear. Sure, why not?
But really, like, I am just happy that there's a lot of stuff that they're talking about that it seems like the end of the expansion isn't at 7.2, like the end of the expansion was at 6.2. That's all I really wanted from this. Like, I wanted to know that there was stuff, they had something up their sleeve.
Well, did they really indicate that the end of the expansion isn't going to be 7.2? 7.2 might be quite some ways away.
But
7.2 is the Tomb of Sargeras, and they said that after 7.2 we are going to Argus, as in the planet.
The next expansion, I don't know, but still, at this point, from what I've seen, even if 7.2 is the last patch, there is an awful lot of content scheduled compared to the previous expansion.
I can believe that.
So, like, even if it is the end, like, it's still a pretty satisfying amount of stuff compared to last time around.
Okay, so another thing that came out of the BlizzCon stuff scares the shit out of me.
What?
Which is?
They're hooking Google DeepMind up to the StarCraft 2 API to teach it how to play StarCraft 2 competitively.
I think this is how we get Skynet.
This is exactly how we get Skynet.
No.
Like, is it going to be playing against people?
It is going to be playing against people.
This is how you teach an AI to hate humanity.
It will be playing in open random with other players.
Oh dear.
To learn how to play.
Yeah, I think that sounds awesome.
Okay, there is a part of me that is super excited about this. There is another part of me that is very terrified.
And the AI is going to be named Joshua, and Matthew Broderick will hack it. No, wait.
Would you like to play a game?
I mean, I do already feel like in StarCraft 2, the only winning move is not to play.
Oh.
Man,
Ouch.
I can't click fast enough to play StarCraft 2 against people.
I don't have enough fingers. Need more fingers.
That does
But
sound
yeah.
pretty sweet, though.
It sounds totally cool. I mean, like Deepmind learned how to play Go, and now is moving on to playing StarCraft 2.
I suspect it'll be better at StarCraft 2 than it is at Go.
Probably.
And I think Blizzard is totally going to hopefully data mine this into building better bots. So like they can use this research to, build better AI for bots in games.
It's likely going to be, like published research, right?
Yeah.
One assumes.
I hope a lot of people read it.
Yep. Yeah, no, like it is totally cool, but I could tell that when they started talking about this, they lost their audience. Like a lot of people I don't think had a clue.
Interested. I'm not sure if, people that were at BlizzCon are quite as interested.
Right. No, like this super excites me, but like again, this is how we teach bots how to wage war. And
I don't know if...
Really, no. Not unless we
Yeah.
start, making sudden advances and need to construct additional pylons in real life.
look, we need all the Vespine gas we can get.
I mean, because
Yeah.
you realize the AI is going to settle on just Zerg Rush all the time.
If it works.
Anyway.
The new meta is going to be whatever the Google AI decides is
So-
the correct way to play.
No, okay, so this is actually an interesting thing for the StarCraft game, because Google DeepMind learned how to play Go by playing thousands of games at once.
Yeah.
How many spun up instances of Google DeepMind are going to be playing StarCraft at once?
I don't know. They're basically giving Google DeepMind access to the API for building a UI, like an interface to StarCraft.
Like,
So
If
I
I
don't know.
start-
Like,
so how many people are currently playing StarCraft, and is all anyone's ever going to be playing now Google DeepMind?
I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah, but that's an interesting question to ask.
Could they have that happen? Probably.
I'm playing against QX573485. Okay, it's Google DeepMind again.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is, like, I'm pretty sure Google DeepMind also, like, it had to be seeded with a whole bunch of games against people who knew how to play Go, but then it refined itself by, like, playing against itself. So I'm wondering if it's also going to be doing a bit of that.
Like, if it can, go into, Overmind view and see what the players are actually doing.
No, like, basically simulating a game against one instance of Google DeepMind AI and another instance of Google DeepMind AI.
I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure that's how Google DeepMind was learning how to play Go. It got it got a bunch of games under itself against people who know how to play Go, and then it took that knowledge, iterated on it against itself, and then came back and got further games against better players.
There's probably going to be some of that, I would imagine. But it's interesting, because if AI can learn to play StarCraft 2, it can probably learn to play any of these games.
StarCraft 2 has an AI that was, designed by Google. Designed by Blizzard for the purpose of playing StarCraft 2.
It was not designed to be perfect at it, though. Maybe it was.
That's the thing, it could probably do better than they have it do, because, well...
But would that be fun?
Yeah.
Well, their AI has largely been in place since the original Warcraft. What they are doing has been in place since that first game, and most of the games fall for the exact same problem. There is a situation that happens that I have seen in a lot of the Blizzard games where if you kill everything but your builder units and then go kill that town hall, even if they have enough resources to rebuild the town hall, or whatever unit that game happens to have, those builder units will never actually build that thing. They'll just sit around and flail. And I've seen that happen in the original Starcraft. I've seen it happen in Warcraft 2. I've seen it happen in Warcraft 3. I've seen it happen in Starcraft 2, where the builder units just kind of like freak out, where they don't really know what to do when they lost their home.
Realistically, if you are down to just builder units and no, HQ or Nexus or what have you, aren't you pretty much lost anyway? Like all that is builder units.
But I like to toy with my victim.
I'm just saying there's not a whole lot of point in the game continuing past the point of loss.
Well, I'm talking like in a versus computer game with like multiple computer opponents. When you get one down to that point, even if you leave them completely alone, they will never rebuild. And it's been a weird thing that's happened since the early games.
I'm sure they've been iterating on that AI a little bit. Maybe that's just one flaw that they never saw the need to fix.
Well, it doesn't really fight you. Once it reaches the point where it thinks that where it basically concedes, it doesn't keep fighting you. Like, it'll offer to concede, and you can deny it, but it won't keep fighting you.
Yeah, but every version of the Starcraft system has kind of had that thing going on. And I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just something that's been in the versions and never really they saw a reason to change.
There's a lot of Starcraft etiquette around conceding, like when to do it and so on. And so I can see them coding that into their AI.
Oh man, I would go down swinging. Like, I would be attacking random shit with my builder units. Like SCVs on attack until you finally blow me up.
For the purposes of competitive StarCraft, this is considered being a bad loser.
Yes.
I don't play competitively, so... I don't have enough fingers to play competitively.
Fair.
Anyway, it's definitely an interesting thing. Like, I'm curious to see what happens. And all hail our new robot overlords.
Yep.
So, the last two things that really got talked about, I don't have a lot to say other than the fact that, okay, Hearthstone has a new expansion called Mean Streets of Gadgetzan.
Yeah.
And that in itself is, it's neither here nor there. It's more cards.
Gadgetzan, as safe as it is clean.
They are doing some interesting things with that. But more than anything, I want the version of Gadgetzan that is in this card game in World of Warcraft.
Well, it's the same thing as like the Karazhan thing that they put in Hearthstone. Like, this stuff looks fun.
Well, like, so they took this concept of Gadgetzan's now a port town, and they expanded it out, and it is now, like, in the card game, like, 5 times as big as the existing Gadgetzan. And it's all got this underworld vibe that you would expect for a shady port city where everyone kind of looks the other way. And you have, like, these 3 forces. Like, there's the Bruisers. I don't even remember what the actual faction name is, but they're, like, basically the street thugs. Like, the crooks that you see out in public. And then there's the Cabal, which are these crazy, forbidden magic users that, imbue their body with tattoos of corrupted mana so that they can, like, draw extra mana from those whenever they need it. And then there's, like, the Jade Lotus, something like that, which are the clandestine, shady Assassin's Guild type faction. And there's some interesting stuff going on. And, like, Hearthstone is a fun game. I will never play it seriously. I enjoy playing it from time to time on my phone, or when I need to just, I want to play something, but I don't know what I want to play on a PC. But, man, that is an interesting world that I would love to explore in World of Warcraft. Like, if they could give me something like that with Suramar-style quests, that would be amazing. Where you ingratiate yourself to one of the factions and you run missions, and it's the exact example of, like, what a neutral faction of your choice type thing could be that is probably never actually going to make it into the game, but it's cool.
Yeah, so I clearly have not been following too closely to WoW. This is similar to, I was about to say, I remember Gadgetzan when it was just a kind of big circle, and there was a arena that you didn't go into unless you wanted to get killed.
I mean, that's pretty much what it still is. It's just in a slightly different looking place because the cataclysm happened.
Okay. Yeah, that happened, and Thousand Needles kind of opened up the ocean, and so did the former area where the pirates used to be, east of Gadgetzan.
Uh-huh.
That's underwater now.
Okay.
So Gadgetzan is basically a port town.
Oh, so Gadgetzan hasn't moved. It's still like the same stupid little...
Yep.
Okay.
I killed a lot of demons there in the demon invasion for Legion.
I do.
I am super happy that they are bringing Legion invasions to the Broken Isles as a side note.
Oh, I did not.
How well that's done.
Like they're basically going to be, so when one of them is going on, it will disable all world quests in that zone and give one multi-part world quest for everyone that zones into that area. So kind of like the pre-Legion launch events. But they're going to be longer. They're going to actually involve going up onto the ship and fighting in a 3-player scenario up there. It's going to be kind of class agnostic the way that the Pandaria scenarios were, where you didn't necessarily need a tank or a healer. And it honestly reminds me of Rift Invasions, the way they were talking about it. But I'm down with that. And apparently it's going to give you completion for Emissary quest, for completing steps of it. So it's not locking you out of being able to do emissaries in that zone if that happens to be the emissary zone.
It just sort of forces you to do those in lieu of whatever other things you would have done. Just a little annoying. We'll see, I guess, how that shakes out. But
it all depends on what the rewards are like. So if it gives you, order resources or artifact power at each step, or a chest at each step that can have one of those things in it, that could be interesting.
And as long as, like with the Legion invasions, once you have completed the event, that the zone goes back to normal for you.
Yeah, that would be my hope as well. Because the personal aspect of the Legion invasions is what made them work. The fact that you're never either screwed over by zoning in too late, or that you have to keep repeating this thing over and over and over for an hour and a half. Anyway, so the last thing that they talked about was Heroes of the Storm, and I would kind of like to play a lot more Heroes of the Storm, but I don't ever play it. They're about to do some event where if you play, I think, 15 games with your friends, you get one champion and some stuff unlocked for free, and if you play 30 games with your friends, you get 5 champions unlocked for free. And they're also
for the starter champions or of your choice.
It's a fixed set of champions. I forget which ones they are, but it's not the starters. But it was champions I didn't have. Also, they're adding Varian Ren as a multi-class champion or multi-spec champion. He can go tanky or he can go damage dealy, and I think he can swap it up kind of like what was the dude with the gun in League of Legends?
Jace or
Jace, okay. the gun hammer. Yeah, it sounds like something like that where you can switch it back and forth as you're playing. And they're adding Ragnaros, where you can become a world boss.
I mentioned this in Slack, but don't they already have somebody who kills people with fire in that game?
They do, but Ragnaros' special ability is he can take over a turret, like a tower, and then becomes super powered and grows in size and now does tower style damage, but is limited to the same range, and you're rooted in place. So you're basically playing a tower.
I mean, if that pushes your opponents off a tower, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he seems like a reasonable champion other than that, but that sounds like a really interesting mechanic. That, now you're a tower, and apparently you don't have to take over only your tower, which makes some weird mechanics, because now, so there's 2 cannon towers at each tower, so are you then fighting the other tower?
You just wait for it to run out of ammo or something.
I guess, yeah. And then can your team just beat down the door with you on the thing and fending off the other team as they run up to it. Like, that's weird. I mean, this is the game that has created a two-headed champion that has two players playing it, so I think they're perfectly fine with weird mechanics.
So since this does sort of have a competitive scene, does anybody ever play that in competitive?
Dignitas, like most of the teams that you recognize from the LCS also seem to play Heroes.
Alright, that's not surprising. Those orgs would own teams playing both games.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, I don't really watch that, and I tried to watch a little bit of the competitive play when waiting on the next panel, and I didn't see people. Like, I saw names I recognize, but I don't really follow the LCS, so that's all I really know is that they were names I recognized. That's all I can really think about from the BlizzCon stuff. I am definitely interested in the Diablo changes. I'm definitely interested in the WoW stuff. The Deepmind stuff is going to be academically interesting, but I don't really play StarCraft 2, so it doesn't fully affect me. But it'll be interesting to see if that trickles into other things. I mean, it seemed like as a whole, from several of the little tidbits from other panels that I watched, that they seem to be interested in more PvE modes for games. Like, they talked a little bit about the potential of maybe like a dungeon mode for Heroes of the Storm, where you do kind of a Diablo-y thing in Heroes of the Storm.
Huh.
But like, that was a wouldn't it be cool kind of thing in answer to somebody who asked a question along those lines. So I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I would be interested in that thing.
I mean, I guess I'm trying to decide if I think that's like... I feel like speculating wildly on stuff like that is not terribly great PR.
Yeah.
But I also don't know if I trust Blizzard, like, devs on a panel to be able to, like, stay on message well enough to do good PR.
That's why CMs exist, so no, you are right not to trust this.
Yeah. Honestly, from like Heroes and from Overwatch both, it seemed like they were working on a bunch of interesting game types, where there's an ARAM mode for Overwatch apparently that is somewhat popular, where, you know, you have random champions assigned and you're stuck playing that champion. So make it work. Your comp could be horrible, your comp could be good, just like ARAM. But I think that's honestly what's going to lend additional replay to a lot of these titles, other than, you know, competitive play, is giving it weird modes that are interesting and fun that, you know, make you want to go grab your friends and play it. But yeah, I think that's the end of what I wanted to talk about for BlizzCon. Tam, before we started podcasting, you were talking about some crazy event that you were persuading Kodra not to do in Guild Wars 2. Not during the podcast. What was that?
Yes. So Guild Wars 2 has this, the like leveling content has this like the structure that not everybody loved, which is a zone that's full of like the little renown hearts, where you basically go and do random stuff in an area, and it slowly ticks up a bar, and you get the bar, you get credit for the heart, and a bunch of XP and so on. But they also have these like these little events that are always going on, and they're, you know, simple things like, hey, this caravan needs to get from point A to point B, all the way up to like, hey, there's a giant dragon there's this like dragon thing attacking this zone. Like, work your way up to, you know, luring the dragon out and then fighting it and beating it. And towards the end of the leveling process, in the big like ore zones, like the max level zones, and in everything they've added in the expansion, they take this a step further. There's no more renown hearts, because you don't need them to level up. And you probably don't need the little vendors that doing them unlock. But the events are bigger. And in most of them, in all the later zones and the expansion zones, there's also this like meta event going on. So like in the very first expansion zone, which is themed around your big army strode into the jungle to try to take down this dragon. The dragon was a lot cleverer than you were and destroys your force, and you're trying to pull it all together. And so you're in this hostile jungle. All of the events are about like recovering supplies or finding lost people or establishing camps and beachheads. And all of that builds up. As you do this, you get more and more prepared until night falls. And when night falls, all of the bases are attacked, all of the supplies that you use help defend the bases. You've got to, like, players split out and try to cover all of the outposts and keep them safe from enemy attacks. And the better you do at defending it, between having done a whole bunch to help people out during the day and then defending it at night, the more little helicopters come down to take you up to the canopy, which is crazy high up in this giant zone. And there's a bunch of bosses up there. And every boss gives you a ton of rewards for killing them, pushes the bar even further towards, like, meta event completion. And at the end of it all, when daytime comes around, depending on what bosses you've killed and how many outposts have survived and so on, everyone in the zone gets a reward. And it's this pretty involved, it's this whole pretty involved thing, and it's constantly cycling. Because when it becomes daytime again, new events, some of which are the same and some of which are different, cycle in to help you make progress towards the nighttime raid event.
Yeah.
Is this the thing that I participated in that one time and the giant dragons on the canopy spawned?
Yes.
Okay.
Where you take the little helicopter up?
Yep.
Yeah. That's the nighttime side of it. And you can get some really great rewards for doing this. Like, you can get unique gear, you can get currency stuff, you get all sorts of things. Super rare crafting mats.
Yeah, I remember getting a couple of exotics from it.
Yeah, you get all kinds of neat stuff.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that this is well themed to, like, the quest the actual story quest, which is, like, in the story quest that starts that zone, it is you are rendezvousing with a camp and night falls and you have to protect it.
Yeah.
So once you get out of the story quest, the entire zone is night has fallen and it's time to protect it.
Yeah. And so you've got the first zone does this, like, day-night shifting thing. And I thought, oh, wow. Well, when I first played it, I was like, oh, wow, that's a really, like, clever, complex event.
What a horrible night to have a curse.
Right? And it's like, and honestly, it doesn't escape me that you're in basically a big forest and nighttime is really scary. Like, I have a soft spot for any MMO that does that, even though it's sort of cliche at this point.
Yeah.
But the follow-up, it follows up with zones of escalating complexity, including the one that Coder and Ash and I have done a number of times, which I still think is super awesome, is Auric Basin, which is a big zone with a big, like, magic city in the middle of it. This, like, ancient magic city. And the dragon's forces attack this ancient magic city and lock you out of it. And so you've got to fight your way back into it and free it. And so you do a bunch of preparatory events to, like, build up your siege weaponry and whatnot. And then you attack at the 4 gates simultaneously. These gates are not close to each other. Like, this is a really big centerpiece of the zone. So it's not like you can just swing from one to the other easily. And the areas in which they're in don't connect. So, like, if you wanted to go from east to north, you're talking about a long run.
You can waypoint some percentage of the way there, but they're not close.
Yeah, it's a decent chunk. And on top of that, you've got 4 bosses, the 4 sides of the Octavine,
which are all different.
Which are all different. They all have the same rough mechanic in that they have layers of protection that you have to strip away, but the way in which you do that is different per side. But they all have to die at the same time. So you have an entire zone who have to work together to bring 4 bosses down within, like, 60 seconds of each other?
2 minutes.
Is it 2 minutes?
It is 2 minutes.
Okay, so within 2 minutes of each other. And bear in mind, this isn't, like, a quick fight. It takes, like, 5 to 10?
It's a 20-minute timer.
More than that.
Yeah, you've got a 20-minute timer, and as soon as the first side of it dies, you have 2 minutes to kill the rest, or they all restore it to full. And I saw this, and I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen. How does this ever succeed? Like, that's nonsense.
Constantly. It succeeds constantly.
It succeeds constantly. Like, the Guild Wars 2 random people in a zone community can organize to the point where they drop 4 bosses more or less simultaneously, Most of the time I see it, that 2-minute timer goes down like 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, normally it is very synchronized. Sometimes people jump the gun and they think a side is going down and they are just a hair short, and so that side has to hurry up, strip all of the protections down, and to get the last bit of damage in.
And what will also happen is if they realize that like not enough people are at one side, it's way far behind, people will make the run, and everyone else will hold on and just keep things stable until that one catches up.
It's also worth noting that like it is actually very different and requires completely different like skill sets for the various sides.
Yeah.
So one of the sides, there is a seed pod that explodes and strips layers of ooze off, but it moves very slowly, and you don't want to wait for it, so you push it with all of your CC moves.
Yeah, you use knockbacks to move it towards the thing. There's another one where you pick up grenades that can only be used while you're gliding, and then glide over it and bomb it from the air.
That is one of the ones that that's the one that typically succeeds first.
Yes.
Because everyone wants to go on a bombing run.
Well, it's also pretty simple.
Yeah, it's less complicated than the other
It doesn't require teamwork.
Also, yeah,
there's
you aren't threatened while you're doing that, really. You're just flying.
What's that?
You aren't threatened by a whole lot of things while you're gliding.
Well, that does have sharpshooters in it.
It's not like being a mostly defenseless mushroom in a floor where things are trying to stomp on you. Although that side is also not actually that difficult.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, wow, that's a crazy... And it's worth noting that there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on at the same time. I'm simplifying the insanity that is some of these sides, including like giant armadillos that roll around and try to squish people. That's totally a thing that happens.
Oh, I found something out. So those are supposed to be dealt with by the armors. So before the thing happens, you do these mini games to get armors unlocked, and people can become these giant, like, celestial warriors for the duration of the fight. And those people in the armors are able to body block all of the massive, terrifying things.
Yeah. Yeah, you got people in basically vehicles. Although, in fairness, I think Guild Wars 2's vehicles are really, really elegant, because they're just an ability swap.
Well, there's a bunch of things in that game that are just swap your ability bar.
Yeah, so it just swaps your ability bar, but it basically makes you like a raid boss fighting other raid bosses while people are trying to strip buffs off the Octavine, and yeah, it's a whole thing. And I thought that was the craziest event that I'd seen. And what I was mentioning to Kodra is the last event of the expansion content in a place called Dragon's Stand, which, like, I don't think it's spoilers to say that it's about going to fight the dragon. I mean, is that spoilers?
I would never have guessed.
Like,
man.
I mean, the entire expansion is about go and fight this dragon, and the final zone is called Dragon's Stand.
Yes. Well.
Yeah. But that zone has nothing going on in it except for its meta event. Like, most of the zones have, like, little events going on. Either the event, when you log into the zone, there's a timer running that's, I want to say 90 minutes. And the 90-minute timer, if it reaches 0, the boss kills everyone in the zone and ports you to a new copy of the zone, whatever the next instance of that zone is, wherever it happens to be. And maybe that zone succeeds. But you have to get enough people to basically play a three-lane series of events culminating in you fighting the boss that all have to be more or less synchronized, and you have 90 minutes to complete everything as best you can, including a boss fight in which you have like anywhere from 30 to 100 players all participating in a like raid boss tier difficulty encounter. It is really, really cool. It is honestly probably the coolest open world thing I've done in an MMO like ever.
So, and kind of what I was getting is, this is the first MMO I've played where it's like, I am gonna go to this zone and I am gonna live here.
Yeah. You go to a zone, and you do stuff in the zone, and there's always stuff for you to do. You don't, run out of quests.
Well, there's also, a thing where there are massive, objectives for you to do. You can spend a lot of time in a zone and still not have completed everything that zone is asking you to do.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me a lot of farming for, the Cenarian Circle rep. And I actually mean that in a pretty good way. Because Cenarian Circle rep was an awful, really extensive, long grind, but it wasn't a boring grind.
Yeah.
Because it was okay, you're going to go and you're going to fight all of these Twilight cultists. And they're going to drop robes, and as they drop robes, you're going to put those on, and you're going to fight the elementals that you can spawn. And periodically, I can't even remember her name. One special one is going to show up, flanked by 4 others, and you kill her, and you get a whole bunch of rep. But there's a lot of stuff going on relatively for a rep grind in that one, and this is just... I don't get bored even though I'm grinding these zones.
The other thing that I think is really cool is the way they do rep grinds is when you hit max level, you do a couple of intro quests for the expansion because they only introduced this in the expansion. But once you get through the first, the intro of the expansion, you get your experience bar is replaced with a mastery bar. And depending on where you are, if you're and there's whole mastery trees, which are basically rep grinds. You choose what you're going to rep, and everything you do in a particular part of the world advances that rep. But it's everything. If I wander around and beat up spiders, I get...
Anything that would give experience.
Yes. Anything that would...
Because of the way Guild Wars 2 works, nothing actually stops giving experience.
Yeah. And so you're constantly... Not only are you constantly wandering around... I can just beat up spiders, or I can do events. And doing the big meta events for every zone is worth a ton of XP. I mean, big, noticeable chunks. And so I can continually do these, what event do I think is cool? I can do that event. And if I think that's fun, I get a ton of XP, and I get rewarded for it and build my rep. So I'm always doing, even though it's a rep grind that, literally anything I do, including in some cases crafting, progresses this bar. And... as you progress the bar, you start unlocking basically you need to advance the bar, and then once the bar for whatever it is you're training is all the way up, you can spend mastery points to unlock whatever that thing is. So you also mastery points you get by wandering around the zones, and a variety of ways, but in the expansion content, there's mastery points littered about the zones, and you can get them from doing story quests, you can get them from going to the locations in the zone and taking them, you can get them from certain achievements.
Certain achievements is definitely the one that is most intimidating.
Yes, this is true. But they also unlock new, rep vendors, they unlock new ways of moving around the zones. There's a whole mastery tree that's upgrades to your gliding. Because at first you just get a glider and you can kind of hit the button and you'll glide slowly down. But eventually you can get glider abilities that let you move faster or slower, that let you hit updrafts and fly up. You can stealth while gliding so things can't shoot at you while you're in the air. You can basically catch ley line currents and fly around there. There's all kinds of neat. There's mushrooms that can make you run faster or bounce really high up in the air. But so it's this sort of constant flow of XP and loot, and you're always moving that bar forward no matter what it is you're actually doing, which I think is really cool. I don't feel if I get jumped by a random mob and I have to beat up that mob, I don't feel like I wasted time. I feel I moved the bar a little bit.
Yeah, no content feels useless.
Yeah.
Well, and while this feels relatively okay in the new zones, gaining mastery experience in the old world zones feels kind of miserable.
Why do you say that?
Just the pace at which you move the bar is really slow.
So the old world has its own separate mastery trees?
Right, and those seem to move super slow.
They do seem to take a lot more XP than those.
I would.
But I also
with
find
those,
them much less important.
Yeah, those are much less important. Like, there's only one thing I'm super, super invested in, which is
out of curiosity,
Fractals.
Okay, the Pack Commander line I've spent most of my points in so far.
Yeah, that's what I am too, is Pack Commander.
I guess I haven't looked at Pact Commander to see what it offers me.
It's a bunch of cool stuff.
Okay, I should check it out. I feel like the limiting factor in that is going to be less me getting XP and more I'm going to run out of masteries, and old world masteries only come from achievements.
Yes.
See,
about that,
I have plenty of mastery points, but like I don't have the experience to spend them.
I am out of mastery points, and I have 3 old world maxed things.
I'm out of mastery points and have 1 maxed out, ready to spend on.
But you get mastery. One of the ways that we can get mastery points or old world mastery points is in Fractals.
Also by doing the story quests, like the little story quest for reward mastery points for completing.
Notably, the Season 2 story quest.
Yeah.
We should do the Season 2 story quest.
Season 3 too. Season 3 also.
Season 3 does it too.
Yes, we should also do Season 3, but we should definitely do Season 2, because that's how I can get a tiny little Mordermoth vine growing out my back.
It doesn't sound like a positive.
Yeah, that's something you want?
Well, he is so it's worth noting, first of all, that he is a plant elf.
I am a plant elf.
That's true.
Also, this little vine growing out of your back is called Maudry, and you can feed it. You could feed it rare crafting mats to get other rare crafting mats, or make it bigger.
Feed me, Seymour.
It's also an ascended backplate.
Yeah, it's also the highest possible tier backplate you could get.
And worth noting, the other ascended backplate we were looking at, I have largely decided is not going to happen.
But the starting step to ad infinitum?
I was actually talking about the Luminance backplate.
That thing's nonsense.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, I love Auric Basin, but I am not going to have every single weapon crafter for me to be able to make that.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is really neat is they have, because the gear arc is really flat, like the stat progression is really flat, they have a lot of...
They have embraced the true endgame.
Yes.
This is good.
They have embraced, and oh wow, have they embraced the true endgame.
Yeah. I am not going to get into the true endgame.
Like, if you don't care about how you look, you can play with your friends, and it's really easy. And like,
even if you do care, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff you can get.
Yeah, and you can.
But if you want the fanciest of fancy stuff, well,
yes. Like you can get a weapon that's the best class of weapon in the game. That's as good as all of the other best class of weapons in the game. This is a process that takes it took me like a week and a half of not ultra casual, but not ridiculously hardcore play.
Are you talking exotics or are you talking ascended?
I'm talking about my ascended sword.
An ascended weapon.
Yeah. And it was an effort, but it wasn't ridiculous.
So I did the math today. For me to purchase an ascended pistol is going to be about 77 gold.
Yeah.
Which is a not small amount. Like, almost everything in this game boils down to gold.
Do you mean purchase?
Like, purchase all of the mats I need.
Yeah. There are relatively...
Some of them you need to farm anyway, so...
There are surprisingly few items that you can't sell on the auction house, compared to most other MMOs, including legendary weapons. If you wanted to look really fancy, you could make a legendary weapon. These include things like, you know how Guild Wars has that sort of painter UI style, where there's lots of like swirly paint trails on things? It's a really cool style. You can get a greatsword that leaves behind, as you like swing it around and run around with it, it leaves behind like a blurry paint trail look, as well as
like sunsets and stars and galaxies in it.
Yeah.
I saw somebody wandering around. Every step they took created a tiny green meadow, and when they shot their bow, it shot like rainbows.
Yes. If you look closer, it is shooting a rainbow unicorn.
Okay.
What?
Yes, you can get a legendary shortbow that shoots rainbow unicorns.
This is a process that, if you want to do it yourself, will take months.
Yes, you work for it. If you want to shoot rainbow unicorns, it's going to take you. You're going to work for it. But by God, you're going to shoot rainbow unicorns.
It was really funny. I went to a random mini dungeon in the world, and there was just a bright light shining down through the cracks, and I saw it was interactable. And when I interacted with it, I got a box of light, which is this is for Modric.
It's for something else.
This is for something else. There is a lot of ridiculous stuff you have to do. You had to salute a statue in a fractal for yours.
I had to ponder a statue.
Ponder a statue.
So for the original legendaries, they're assembled with 4 components. A gift of whatever legendary weapon, which is unique to each weapon, is crafted usually some high level 400 crafting profession. How much nonsense this is varies from weapon to weapon. You also need a gift of mastery, which requires you to explore literally the entire world, participate in PvP at least a little bit.
Although surprisingly little, I found.
That's not really a whole lot, and a few other things. A gift of fortune, which is basically requires you to spend some money and get somewhat lucky on Mystic Clovers, and a precursor weapon, which, when the game came out, was a complete and total crapshoot.
Yes, it was, and still is, notably, a random drop off of anything.
They still exist this way, but you can now craft them.
Yes,
and pondering the statue in a fractal was one of the steps to start crafting a precursor weapon.
Yeah.
I could bypass that and just buy it on the market board. It's up for 300 gold.
Of note, gold is actually a lot of money in this game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gold has value.
I have 50 gold right now, and I feel fairly rich. There's a lot of stuff I can't buy, but there's a lot of stuff I can buy pretty much anything of.
Yep. Which is really nice, because, again, it fits that scalability from casual to hardcore. It's okay, so if I want 50 gold, I'm going to spend about $10-ish.
Not even.
A little less than $10.
If you could probably get a little under 150 gold, 140 gold for $10.
Okay, wow. I forgot that gold deflated a lot recently.
Cat ears.
Yes. They basically have an automatically updating exchange system between their cash shop currency and their in-game currency. So you can literally buy gold, which is really nice because it means you're not gold spammed almost at all. But
it also means you can buy gems, the other thing, with gold.
If you have a lot of gold, you can transfer it directly into their gem store currency. And those numbers are constantly updated based on player demand. So, if nobody wants anything on the gem store, then you can get gems for cheap and buy, cosmetic gear off the gem store. Or if, a
really popular item goes up.
Yep. Then gems become way more expensive. But on the other hand, there's also, and so $10 worth of gold will pretty easily buy you a really nice top end set of gear, or all the materials you need to craft it, or pretty much whatever you need. But you could also build a legendary and sell it. You could sell legendary weapons on the auction house. They're 3,000 gold?
Several
around
thousand.
that.
Yeah.
Eternity is by far the most expensive one because you can make it by crafting 2 legendaries together.
Yes, there's that.
So it's 5,000.
Yeah. So there's some ridiculous stuff that you can do. But that's all blatantly crazy stuff. And it's really easy to see the point where it jumps from, this is a reasonable thing that most people might want to do. This is all reasonably priced, to, you could buy this if you wanted to just throw money at it. If you decide that your time is worth more than this money, then sure, we'll let you do this. But you gotta really want it.
I kind of like legendaries as a sort of long-term goal, so
yeah.
I'm working towards a legendary flamethrower.
And
this game's legendaries remind me a lot of the EverQuest Epic Weapon Quest. They just involve a ton of different steps, doing different things.
They're all totally different. Some of them have you do some crazy stuff, and they're pretty fun. It's a fun set of random things you need to do. Or if you don't want to deal with all of that bullshit, you can build yourself an ascended weapon and say, this is just as good as a legendary for the most part. Like,
well, stat-wise, it is literally just as good.
Yeah, stat-wise, it's literally just as good. It doesn't look as fancy, and you can't reallocate the stats on it at will.
Can reallocate the stats on it fairly easily, though, by doing a little bit more crafting.
Yeah, you can craft it and change its stats. One of the big benefits you get out of a legendary weapon is you can change its stats whenever you want, for free. So if you decide you want to try a totally different build, and that build requires different stats, you can still use that weapon with completely new stats. It's also account bound, not character bound. So if you decide that you like your elementalist more than your mesmer, but you have the legendary staff, you can give that over to the elementalist and continue having fun, or even swap it back and forth, which I think is cool.
I want to take a moment to really praise Guild War II's economy system, because I like this. So one of the things that kind of throws me with Guild Wars 2 is I'm normally not a crafter, and I kind of think Guild Wars 2 doesn't make sense if you aren't crafting.
There's a bit of that going on.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that you get out in the world that it kind of does the thing that Final Fantasy XIV does, in that, like, there are real drops in the world, there are meaningful drops in the world, but there's a lot of stuff that is only meaningful to you if you're going to use it for crafting.
Notably, unlike Final Fantasy XIV, this has a system where you can automatically bank all of those items out of your inventory and into a crafting inventory.
Into a separate crafting inventory.
And that is so amazing, and Final Fantasy needs to have stolen this yesterday.
And if you
Yes.
And if you decide that you have maxed out your crafting storage, you can pay $10 and permanently double it. And you can keep doing this if you are just a crafting mat hoarder.
If you're doing that, maybe you should, check out the market board, because some people kind of want those.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll pay money for them.
Yeah.
But what's nice is, like, for somebody like me that really hasn't gotten into the crafting system that much, I could, in theory, just start wholesale unloading my crafting mats on the board and make decent bank.
Yep.
Because, I mean, it has buy orders and sell orders, so it's like super fast to unload something.
Yes.
And you can sell from you can put stuff up for sale anywhere. Anywhere you are in the world. You don't need to go to an auction place. You can only collect the money. Like, if you sell something, you can only collect the money at an auction house. But you can sell something anywhere.
I'm pretty sure you can't sell out of your crafting inventory.
That's true. You can't sell out of your crafting inventory from anywhere.
That said, what it also means, because you have this, like, permanent crafting inventory, is instead what you can do is, like, if you get to max level and you've been, like, harvesting stuff because there's no harvesting skills, you just can go and harvest stuff in the world, you probably have materials to allow you to level your crafting profession basically from what you've gathered.
Yeah. If you get to the point where you're like, oh wow, I actually really want to be able to craft something, and I've never touched crafting, you may actually already have an inventory full of crafting mats to get you on your way.
I know I was mostly able to get myself up to 400 crafting without too much pain.
Yeah.
I need to do this because, like, I have been stockpiling crafting mats the entire time I've played, and I started leveling, but, like, I didn't get super far.
Secret tip, if you have an alt that you like, and I realize in your case you might not, but if you have an alt that
Not
you
yet.
like, crafting grants normal leveling XP, and I got, like...
Grants EXP, period, so it will advance mastery as well.
Yes. So you can either get mastery from it, or if you're me, I needed a tailor, so I set my Necromancer up as a tailor and got, like, 12 levels. Leveling
I also did this thing.
And I was like, sweet. That's a huge chunk of levels that I got really fast.
Well, and the other thing that I like is crafting is independent of your levels for the most part.
Yes.
So, like, you can have a level 1 that's, 400 crafting.
You can't, actually, because that
you can't?
be level 12, roughly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. But you know what I mean, like...
You can have a character that's never fought anything and has a ton of crafting, is just a max level crafter, and your materials bank is shared across your account.
Right. As is your normal bank.
Yeah, so you can have a crafting mule that's just some some poor sap that sits in town and does all your crafting for you, while your like main goes out and collects crafting materials because you don't want to run around with the low-level character. It's a really, really neat, elegant system, and it makes it super fun as a game that I can just hop in and play casually but still make progress.
So like even when I've said like there's stuff I don't like about this game, their inventory maintenance system has been like among the best I've ever used. And I wish more games had the field deposit of crafting mats. And WoW put in a crafting mat reagent bank, but like its big problem is it's not expandable. So every character I have has a full reagent bank.
Yeah, I came back to this game after not having played it for 4 years.
Basically.
It took me less time to figure out what was going on with my inventory than it did from being gone from Final Fantasy for like
6 months. That I guess.
Like the only problem that I have with this game is there's just so much random stuff that I don't know what it was used for. Like when I was originally playing, I didn't want to click on anything because I didn't know what it did. So when Tam told me what luck was, like I was able to shoot up to like 48% luck.
Because you've just been camping it?
Yeah, I've just been camping it. Like I had luck on everything.
If you type /wiki anything.
Oh,
there's a wiki in game?
So it's not in game browser. But the wiki, the wiki, the Guild Wars 2 wiki is maintained by ArenaNet and has a plugin from the game. So if you're playing the game and you type /wiki space whatever, it will auto search the wiki for whatever you just asked for it.
Okay, that's madness.
It's awesome.
Did not know that was there.
Like, what the fuck is this thing for? Type in the thing. You can even, if you want to be super fancy, you can. I'm pretty sure you can even, without having to type it, just link it straight in your chat.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't know if you
I'll
can
test
do
it.
But either way, it's right there. You can be like, what's this item for? Oh, this is what this item's for. Cool. I care about that. Or no, I don't care about that. It's really nice because, man, do I run into a lot of items where I'm like, do I care about this?
Yeah,
can I just junk it?
That's my entire inventory.
Yeah.
Yes, it does work. Weirdly.
Does it search for the item ID?
It does search by item ID. And then it translates that.
Wow. Yeah. And similarly, the wiki uses item link, like stores item link IDs. So you can copy something off the wiki and paste it into game and get the item link. Though that's not super special.
The wiki also has API hooks into the trading post.
Oh yeah, so you can look at the wiki and see what the current in-game cost of anything is, because the auction house is shared across all servers. And I actually don't even know if servers matter anymore in that game. I don't.
Servers are just kind of logical
cosmetic
units.
Yeah, so like
they matter in Worldy World, and that's basically it.
Okay, so you can just like hop servers and play with other people with relative.
Oh, zones are cross-server already.
Oh, so it literally only matters in World.
Only matters in Worldy World.
Wow. Okay.
Can you guild cross-server?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Like I don't think I'm in a couple guilds, and I don't think they're necessarily on Yakspend. The whole zone dissolution bonus thing is interesting.
Hey, we're closing this zone. You want, some benefits from it?
Yeah,
or not getting kicked out?
Yeah, it's like, hey, there's not a lot of people in the zone. We're probably gonna close it pretty soon, so it's not, taking up server cycles. But but we realize that might be inconvenient for you. So if you want to hit this button, we'll give you a pretty serious buff for the next 15 minutes.
Hey, Bell, you like loot, right?
I like loot.
You should at some point do an Auric Basin.
Oh my god, yeah.
There is no more satisfying experience for me than looting after Auric Basin.
That's it. How are you on salvage kits?
Like I have Copperfed salvage kit. I have all the salvage kits I need.
You're fine then.
Yes. Auric Basin is the one with the Octavine. When you finish the Octavine, you go into the city, and in thanks, the city opens its treasure vaults to you.
Oh god. Oh, that's the thing you were doing with the keys.
Yes.
Okay.
And completing the event gives you a whole bunch of keys. So you complete the event, get a whole bunch of keys, and then you can go under the city into a
giant freaking jetter chests underneath the city.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's also a skill point down there.
But yeah, like, so that's the weird thing about their store is there's a lot of quality of life things on the store. So basically, like, if you want to harvest a resource, you have to have a pick or a sickle and these are depletable items. So you get so many harvests with this thing.
Specifically, you get 100 for everything except the gathering sickle, which is 50.
Right, which is weird, but whatever. And that's annoying to me, like, to have to constantly keep going back. So I was able to spend a fairly significant amount of gems on getting an item that I can swap to any of my characters if I so choose, and I no longer have to care about ever having any more harvest picks.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a minor inconvenience. It's a minor inconvenience, but one I care about. I can pay money to make it go away.
I mean, of note, like, pretty much every zone vendor sells picks.
Yeah, they're a basic thing on every merchant.
I just didn't want to have to care about it. Like, I ended up picking up the unlimited ones. Similarly, salvage kits annoy me. Like, having to carry a bunch of salvage kits. So you can buy this thing. Yeah, so that basically it's like dismantling things. And there's an item you can get off the gem store called a copper-fed salvage kit that is essentially like using a basic salvage kit on the item, and it costs 3 copper every time you use it, which is cheaper than a basic salvage kit.
So slightly cheaper than a basic salvage kit.
Right.
If you salvage like 1 million items ever, it will pay for the gem cost as well.
Right. So I am constantly using that thing and batch dismantling things, and then immediately turning around and saying deposit all into inventory or to crafting inventory, and it keeps my bags somewhat reasonable.
My bag would be entirely reasonable if not for, the Halloween event.
The Halloween event has made my bag rather unreasonable. I'm trying to eat the candy.
I'm so sick of stupid candy in my inventory. I want one kind of candy, not 9. I'm certainly not crafting a Halloween legendary. F that.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And I know I need like ridiculous amounts of all kinds of candy to craft a Halloween legendary, and I'm definitely not even going to bother.
Man, so I happened upon what I can only assume is a Halloween legendary farming party in the Mad King's Labyrinth.
No, people just do that. That has nothing to do with legendaries.
Like, I did it because it was fun. And I ran around in a circle with these people killing all sorts of weird shit like glow-in-the-dark skeletons and plastic spiders and candy, or what is it, candy corn golems. And
yeah, people just do that.
Yeah, that was fun. Because, like, very quickly, all these veteran versions of things started spawning, which actually started dropping reasonable loot.
I have yet to do the Mad King's Labyrinth or whatever.
That's
So it's okay. It's mostly.
And decided that I would rather put a spoon in my eye after I did it for like an hour.
The Labyrinth is not as bad as the tower. The tower, I ain't doing that.
The tower is a moving, timed jumping puzzle.
That you're also doing it with other people.
That you're doing with other people.
Okay, that part sounds unfun. The first part seems like it could be fun.
The other people, in fairness, don't actually interact with you in any way other than like just also being there. Like they don't collide.
Well,
they can't use abilities.
So they can be visually in the way, though.
Yes.
So the problem with that though is like, say there are 3 people in the tower and you fall off early. You have to wait for the other 2 to fall off before everyone fails and restarts. So that was the frustration for me, is like that I couldn't get right back up and start trying something.
Yeah.
Okay, the thing that I don't understand is like, can you actually kill the labyrinthine horror?
Oh, I don't know anything. You know more about this than I do.
Okay, so inside of the Mad King's Labyrinth is a roaming group event called the Labyrinthine Horror, which is like the purple border boss mob.
And it's probably killable.
It is a skeleton with a chainsaw sword.
So purple border is
legendary.
Is legendary, and like usually that's a raid boss.
it straight two-shots me.
Sounds about right.
Sounds like a raid boss.
Yeah, and so I would try and run from it, and eventually it would give up. But yeah, it was madness.
All right, champion is the gold border.
Yeah. So having played a whole bunch of it at this point, and also ushered in other people playing more of it, I'm convinced that if you want to play Guild Wars 2, maybe boot up a few characters and get like a basic sense for the controls. But if you've played an MMO before, when you buy the expansion, you get a boost a character to level 80. And it's a thing that lets you try out any class. You make a character and boost it, you get to play in this zone at level 80, and then you could decide to lock it in or not if you like it. And if you don't, you say, no, not for me, try a different class out. But once you have a level 80 character, you can go around and do all sorts of cool stuff. And all of the stuff that you didn't yet do is still relevant. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to skip the first 80 levels and then never look at the whole world of content, because you actually do kind of want to go and look at the whole world of content, because there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. But it's not, I didn't find it all that much to take in. And you get all kinds of neat, then you can like play with your friends basically immediately, but still do all sorts of other useful, interesting stuff.
It's also worth noting that you're probably going to those old zones are going to still be relevant to you, because there is a lot of crafting materials you are going to want to get, and some of those crafting materials you can only get from like doing the killing stuff and doing adventures and whatnot. Also, that is a good way to get zone completion is also a very real thing, which can give you very good rewards.
Yeah, you get a box of loot every time you complete a zone, and sometimes it's really good stuff, sometimes it's meh, but...
They got rid of a lot of them, yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, they kind of did.
Like, I mean, like, how long ago are you saying they got rid of the not great ones? Because, like, I've completed a couple zones since we've recently been playing it, and they were super disenchantable, or deconstructible, or whatever.
I believe recently they got rid of boosts.
That's different. That's in Black Lion chests.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the chest that pops up that has like 3 wards or so.
Zone completion gives you a few things. It gives you, I think, a guaranteed piece of gear for roughly that zone's level, so that's usually not that useful if you're doing it at max level.
Right.
Either a transmutation charge or a Black Lion chest key, and one other thing. I don't remember what the third thing is.
A box of fancy loot, I thought.
Right.
And the hope is that you get a Black Lion
chest. The box of
chest.
loot is for your level.
Every loot bag you get, or any loot bag that gives you gear for your level, regardless of where it came from.
There are some loot bags that give you loot for the level thing that dropped them.
Yeah, well, but aren't those...
Mostly they're crafting mats.
Yeah, crafting mats, which are still useful sometimes.
If you get a silver doubloon, do not sell it. I mean, do not, it's not trash. Make sure you sell it on the trading post.
Yes.
It is in a category of items that is mostly vendorable.
Oh, that's the other thing I like about this game is just how much knowing what stats your gear have matters. Like, having specific builds of gear is important. It's not just like, well, I'm a DPS, so I need to have DPS gear.
Yeah.
So, funny you should say that, because basically every single class can get by with a particular set of DPS gear.
It's true. There's like 2 exceptions, and one of them is engineer.
Fair.
I mean, I guess I'm using Vipers.
Yes.
Like, you kind of chose to play the hard mode class, I think, with engineer.
As far as gearing goes...
Basically every single other class can just put on Berserker and not worry about it. Although that is a set with no defenses whatsoever, so...
So is Vipers.
Viper, admittedly, but...
It's interesting because their mob aggro takes into account your defensive stats on your gear.
So I stack toughness so that they'll hate me.
Yeah. Like,
this is, I think, actually the only stat it takes into account.
Yeah, it may only be toughness. But either way, Bell takes less damage than everyone else, but mobs hate him more because he's got the stat that makes them... Like, toughness adds both resilience and also threat, basically. So you can be tanky by putting on tanky gear.
And the funny thing is like, I did not really think I was that tanky until I ran with someone other than myself. And yes, I am significantly more tanky.
And you realized how my entire life is spent trying not to be hit even once. But yeah, it's really neat. And it also means that like every class, by gearing differently and using different abilities at different weapons, every class can usually do like 5 or 6 different interesting things. I mean, it's how you get away with the mage class being a nuker and a healer and a controller all in the same class.
Said class is also one of the few candidates for the set of gear that does everything.
Yeah, there's gear with all stats on it, and some people, and it's actually
not complete garbage.
Yeah.
Well, like WoW, stats cost more eye level budget exponentially. So if you have an item with 7 stats on it, you're going to get more total stats than an item with 4 stats on it.
For the most part, items at max level have 3, 4, or 7 stats.
Yeah. It's also got a really, really fun small group. It went from having the worst small group content I've ever played, well, almost the worst small group content I've ever played in MMO, to some really fun. Like, I don't think it's the most fun, but it's definitely fun and very different from what I'm used to. And
I also think it's more consumable. Like, I don't have to spend a lot of time in there.
Yeah, they're bite size. They're bite sized, but they make you think and they're clever. There's not very much wasted time. You're always doing something that you've got to think a bit about, but they're shorter to compensate.
Honestly, my happiness with the game went up immensely when I stopped trying to compare it to other MMOs and instead tried to compare it to, like, Diablo. As in, like, the kind of engagement that you do in the game. I'm not sure how best to quantify that, but, like, it doesn't have the same level of immersion that, say, an MMO does. It's very much kind of go in and do some stuff and get some rewards for it.
Yeah.
It's like just like some of it is super detailed, but it's not like I don't feel like it plays like a traditional MMO. It plays more like Diablo, which is honestly kind of what the original Guild Wars was designed to be, like a much more interesting and advanced version of Diablo. So when I started thinking of it in terms like that, my happiness with the game went up immensely. Because it'll never really scratch the MMO itch completely for me.
Yeah. I don't think I would play it if I weren't playing another... Like, I don't think it's going to replace other MMOs for me because it's doing so many things so differently. But it's like a game... It is a game that touches on a lot of the things I'm familiar with MMOs, but mixes them up differently in a way that I find really fun. The way, like, Diablo does for other people.
Yeah. It makes a great secondary game. Or more so, like, the level of engagement in this game is the same kind of engagement I do with, like, say, Destiny.
Yeah.
At one point this afternoon, I had, I think, 48 trick-or-treat bags in my inventory. So yeah, the Labyrinth is definitely where...
That makes sense.
The Labyrinth is definitely where you want to go for getting trick-or-treat bags. Because, like, there are a lot of times where... I
don't want to see any more trick-or-treat bags.
Look, I can be a skeleton all day long.
Now.
They are the new Black Lion chest. They really are. Because I have so many weird things that I don't even know what to do with now.
They're in Black Lion chests.
Oh, they are?
Replace the booster slot.
Well, for now.
Yeah, presumably when Halloween is over, something else will replace them. They decided to replace boosters in Black Lion chests with seasonal items.
I'd rather have seasonal items than boosters.
Kind of like the celebration boosters, but other than that, I kind of agree with you.
Well, and you only get celebration boosters from birthday things, right?
I have 28 of them, and they last 24 hours each.
Yeah.
Of actual playtime.
That is a cool thing.
That leveled up from 40 that still have them running.
Yeah. That, like, boosters stop ticking down when you log out.
Yes, I really like that feature.
Because that was a lot of the reason why I've always been gun shy to use boosts or anything like that. Because, like, I feel like I'm forced to play for 2 hours or 45 minutes or whatever the hell the duration of the booster is. Or I feel like I'm wasting it. Okay, we've been running a while. But Ash, I know you had another topic you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, this weekend at your friendly local game store, if you have one of those that is both local and friendly. There is
I feel like there was a ton of meaning laced in that statement.
Look, I am not satisfied with my current local option.
I can understand that. Happily, our friendly local game store is both now. But for the longest time, before this one came into existence, it was the one before was less so. Which is why it no longer exists.
Store, but it is not local.
Yeah, I have a very friendly game store, but it is not very local.
Anyway, Volos Guide to Monsters came out this weekend. If you were one of those people that ordered it online, it's not out for another week and a half or something like that. But they're kind of pushing this one as a new monster manual for 5th edition. But it's weird. It's a bit more than that.
Yeah, it's like lots of stuff about the monsters. So like the old ecology articles.
I think there were 8 or 9 or so of these very long form write-ups about a particular species of monsters. It starts with beholders, and it also goes into like giants, kobolds, a few other things.
Yuan-ti, illithids, goblins. Yeah, goblins. And kobolds. That I think more than anything is why I want it, because kobolds are amazing and everybody underestimates them and I love them.
In addition, they also wrote up a few of the monsters are written up as playable races, including kobolds. But also a few more, which including some I'd never actually heard of before. Like I hadn't actually heard of Kenku or Tabaxi. Apparently Tabaxi are from like 1st edition.
Huh.
They were cat people.
Okay, I think the cat people that immediately come to mind are not named that, but yeah.
It's been kind of an interesting addition for 5th, because they've been actually publishing a variety of things online. This is the first like big book of content that isn't an adventure since the Dungeon Master's Guide came out.
Yeah, because it's like a hardcover for like $50.
Yep.
Man, do I miss the days of 3rd edition and 1995 books.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, even then, that didn't last long, because only those first 3 books were in 1995, but still, it was a great way to get people into it.
I was about to say, I thought they were 30, but now that I'm remembering, the first 3 were 20, yeah.
Yep. They were 1995, and you could get like a box set for like $40.
I know
that had all of them.
Box set too, and 5th just kind of didn't, because they didn't publish them at the same time. That said, 5th was far more playable with just a player's guide than 3rd was. But I am a little concerned for what happens if Tam gets a hold of this thing.
I don't know what you're possibly talking about.
Because it has a lot of stuff about how various monsters behave and creative ways to use them.
It has been a while since I've run D&D.
Yeah, like lots of cultural stuff for the monsters, and like subtypes and how they act and what their role is within the greater, overall scheme of things. And also a whole bunch of new monsters, apparently. Like Chapter 3 is basically another 100 monsters that have not previously been published in 5th edition.
Yep.
Including the mighty frog behemoth and the yogi, because we really need like spacefaring brain spiders.
I tend to refer to that section as the Druid Power Source Handbook. Because pulling beasts out of the monster manual is a time-honored tradition that 4th didn't really do, but 5th totally does.
Yeah.
3rd definitely did. That was definitely my fun time.
Is it a beast? Okay.
Exactly. However, they do seem to have kept that in mind, at least for the 5th monster manual. I do not know whether they kept it in mind for Volos. I have not yet examined it for how suitable it is for druid options that admittedly Tam won't let me use anyway.
That's not necessarily true.
Based on the other monsters in this thing, it's probably true.
Fair. Look,
cranium rats are tiny beasts listed, for example.
No, not cranium rats.
When you have 3 players who will do their level best to break the game in completely different ways, you learn fast.
I have not really tried to break the game with you.
No. No, you just do it by accident a lot.
Like, I don't... Listen, when I'm crunching numbers and min-maxing, I typically don't run that build in your campaigns.
No, it's true. Though I suspect you would discover very quickly that... I suspect part of that is that you know that I would do that. I would punish that brutally. So
the template to copy from, right?
maybe.
Look, that's also a time-honored D&D tradition, right?
Yes.
When I am playing D&D, I am trying to play the game that everyone else is playing. That is the best way to play D&D, when everyone is sort of in agreement as to what power level they are playing at.
This is true.
Yeah.
The problematic D&D games come when people aren't in agreement of what power level they should be playing at. Like, if I'm in a meat grinder campaign, you better believe I am finding every ounce of power I can put into my character to make sure that our party survives. But if I'm in just if I'm in a more story-centric game, I'm probably not going to be doing that.
I just know that Tam constantly has this back and forth between players who want to do everything and players who want to do one thing really, really, really well.
The struggle is real.
We tend to fall in opposite categories.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, anybody have anything else before we want to wrap things up? Because, yeah, we've been running a while.
We've been running a while.
Okay, I'll take the silence as yes for now. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this super professional show, especially the intro. We will see you next week, where maybe we're going to do the Cthulhu show.
Plan.
That's the
That
plan.
is the plan.
Yeah, Cthulhu Fatagan.
Anyway, have a good night, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
And the sound checks anyway.